be like, girl lost it. You look like major mob boss right now.
I'm really happy to have you all here. It's so good how you mention to someone that you're having like the showing and they actually show up. And that's just great. So I want to begin this evening with saying thank you to everyone because like you don't understand probably how important this is for me because that was my dream for so many years to do something like that. And I was working on this particular, oh no. Okay, on this particular film for a while, like for half a year, more than that, and I put a lot of effort in it, and I'm just so excited to show it to you. Don't be so strict about it. I was very interested for my whole life to learn about the world, but our world is not without issues that we need to work on as a community, as a society. So I'm so grateful that I had opportunity to talk to women who work on these issues. So I had 3 interviews, and this film connects 3 stories of Sonia Firstenau, our MLA, Joan Linka, who is here today. Please let's applaud. And Jodie Patterson. I'm just so grateful that I met them. Like, really. I really admire what you're doing, and I feel like it's really important for people to hear about it and to hear about the stories. And I feel like everyone in this room today will find something, at least like something for yourself in this movie. Because it's just very, you can relate. So I was rewatching it like 100 times before today, and every time I was like thinking about what I'm hearing, and I feel like it's really important to hear it. So thank you everyone again for coming, and let's hear it now. Enjoyed it. If you have any questions, you can ask. Yeah?
I got so many.
Okay, go for it.
I'll ask one, but first of all, I just wanted to say it's so refreshing to hear, to have space for women to tell their stories and hear it just unfiltered and fresh, and that was awesome. How did this project affect you?
That is a very good question. So I was actually going to tell you a story, how I put it all together. I don't know, so I came to Canada a year and a half ago, and of course I didn't know like anyone. So when I had this project in my head, I just realized that I want to hear from someone, to hear some stories of life, and to hear from strong women who I want to be like in future, because I feel like there is a strength in like everyone, and it's based on experience that we have during our lives. So I basically I googled non-profit organizations because I was thinking like where do I get strong women? Non-profit organizations, right? So I googled it, and I found Critch Family Center. And then on the website I found Anne Wellman's photo. And I was like, yes, strong women. Now I gotta find her. So there was no contact information, and the only information I had is that here is an enrollment, by the way, that she goes to a certain church. So I decided to find her. So at Sunday I went to the church at like 7, so like for a long time before service, and then there was no one in the church. So I waited for like an hour, and then after that there's a small black car, and then the priest comes out and he's like, "What are you doing here so early?" And I'm like, "Well, my bus didn't work otherwise." So I told him, like, I showed him the picture and the name, and like, "I'm looking for this person. I don't know any contact information. I just know." And like, there was COVID, like it was March, I think, and there was like COVID was very serious, so a lot more people were watching online. So I had like no guarantees that she goes like in person. So then I tell her, like, tell this priest who I'm looking for, and he's like, "Okay, well, I'm gonna see if she's registered for our offline service." And he's like, "No, she's not." And I'm like, "No, that's my only clue. I lost it." And then he's like, "Okay, for you, I'm gonna go through our member list." And he's like, "She's not member in our church." And I'm like, "No." And then I show him where I get this information. He's like, "Well, you're in the wrong church." I'm like, "Okay, that's great news. Now I need to go to the right one." And there's like this road. There's like they have 3 churches in a row. Like, so I go to the other church, and there's like the man standing and smoking. He's like, "Where are you going?" And I'm like, "To the church. I'm looking for this person." And I showed this man the picture and the name, and he's like, "Oh, that is not our church for sure. Like the name of the church." And then I go further, and I see the name of a church, and I'm like, "Yes, that's a victory." And I come in the church, and what I see there's like 4 people standing with like huge cameras, and I opened the door, and they looked at me, and they're like, "Are you here to volunteer?" And I'm like, "Not exactly." So I talked to these people for a while, and I found out that they're a camera group who are doing live streams in the church every Sunday. So now I am over a few months doing every Sunday live stream in that church with all that people who I met that day. But like then I'm like, "Okay, yes, that's great. Now I'm gonna volunteer every week with you." But I actually looking for this person, and I show them a picture and the name, and they're like, "Oh, I heard her. Yes, she is on our member list." And I'm like, "Yes." And there's like 40 minutes till the service starts, because like in this church like service starts late. And I'm like, "Okay, I have time. I will find her." So, but then they're like, "Oh, actually, she's not like in this building, but like in another building. Like it's also like our church, but it's like another building, you know." And that building is like so far away. Like I would not get there. And is there like, "Are you driving?" And I'm like, "No, I'm not." And they're like, "Oh well, good luck then." But then they actually say like, "Oh, we have a person who is going there like in half an hour from our church to another." So I'm like, "Yes, great." And then I go to this person's car, and we drive to that other church. And then I met Vic actually there, and we were talking. And then I turned around, and there is Anne, and she's like, "Hello, I'm Anne." And I turned around, and I'm like, "Oh my God, yes, yes!" I was looking for this moment for like 4 hours. and then I told her that I have this idea in my head, and like what I want to do basically. And then she gave me the contact of John. And then John gave me a contact of Jody. So like, see how it works. And then, so I wanted to actually thank you, Anne. For, like, you started this song because of you, because you gave me the contact of John. And then, so yeah, that's how I met John and then Jody. So how I met Sonia. This is a very interesting story. There is one person here who's, oh my God, I don't want to cry. Okay, so this is actually really important for me. Especially like being here without parents. I feel very supported by you, Mr. Neufeld. It's like really important for me. I don't know if you understand it, but like all this support, not only like to introduce me to someone, but like in general, just like every day you say something nice about me, it's very important for me. And I want to also thank you, so I have a rose for you. there is another person who I have a rose with too. Basically, we are in Claremont School. I'm really grateful that I'm here, like really grateful. How it all worked out for me, like it was so random. Like, can you imagine how many there are schools in Canada, and like how I ended up here, and how there are so many people who actually support me, who push me forward, and we are here standing in the theater, and that wouldn't happen if Mr. Buckham wouldn't like allowed it, basically, because he's my vice principal of this school. So yeah, I have a rose for you as well. Thank you for organizing this all. Thank you for allowing me to have this. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so basically that's all for roses. I have it for a few more people who unfortunately are not here today. So now I want to thank John. Thank you so much for being a part of it. Thank you so much for, it was actually I think my first interview. And that was very important for me. That was my first time when I wrote equations. Like I never had an interview before in my life. And that was really important for me. So thank you for also like being a part of it. Thank you for agreeing to do an interview for Czech when I called you like and like, oh, are you busy? Are you busy? Can you do an interview for Czech News now? So thank you for this. And like again, thank you for everyone who came. I hope you like this. Now you can go. You cannot go. So, as I can see, like people already noticed, it's a fundraiser for Creech Family Center, and I'm gonna like, John, maybe can do this.
Was that not amazing? When Daria first asked me for the interview, I do a lot of interviews in my job for the Cridge. I'm the manager of communication and fund development, and I get students very often calling me up and saying, we want to know about the Cridge. So I always say yes, because it's fun. And so when Daria asked me, of course I said yes. And then we met, and she started telling me about her vision and what she wanted to do for this. And I suddenly realized that she didn't really want to interview me so much about the Cridge. It was more about me. And that was a very uncomfortable thing.
Sorry.
And my family will tell you that I've been anxious about this for a couple weeks, and tonight I've been very anxious about this. And I want to say, Daria, that you did an amazing job. And yeah, I have no anxiety left. And the way you put it all together and combine those three stories of all of us was remarkable. So thank you. I feel really honored to have been part of your project, and I'm sure Jody and Sonia would feel the same way when they see it. So thank you so much for your work. Daria also asked me just to mention that there is a donation box here for the Cridge Center. We value every contribution to the work that we do and for the families that we serve. So if you feel led to give, we're very grateful for that. There are donation cards there. If you prefer to use a credit card, we can certainly process that. And of course, cash is always welcome. So thank you so much for your support, not just of Daria, but of the Cridge Center for the Family.